Welcome everyone to our Survive and Thrive Digital Dives 12 Tuesdays. We are on the last Tuesday of our 12 Tuesday adventure. I'm Rachel Perkins, the Education and Outreach Specialist for Texas Oncology Foundation. If you're a cancer patient, caregiver, or professional and want to educate yourself about the cancer world, we invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're so glad to have you all here with us today, and we are excited to hear from Morgan and Leah about setting the tone for a healthy new year nutrition and wellness tips, because we all need to kind of start setting that tone for that new year coming up. I'm going to give a little bit of a foundation intro. So the Texas Oncology Foundation is dedicated to providing support to cancer patients in the communities where they live, work, and receive treatment. Through Survive and Thrive programming, the foundation can provide educational events, much like this one, and resources to help build community connections and support all affected by cancer. And I think from these 12 Tuesdays, we have created a great community with each other. So now I have the pleasure of introducing Morgan and Leah. They're going to go ahead and get us started. So when you guys are ready.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Hi, I'm Morgan Sanderson, and this is Leah.
Hi, Leah.
We are both dietitians at the Salmon's Cancer Center in Dallas. We've both been there for a couple of years now, serving patients with an oncology diagnosis. So kind of all across the board, we see all diagnoses. And we're very happy to talk to you today about a quick cooking demo that's a little bit holiday focused, of course, and then a presentation about goal setting, since right after the holidays, the New Year's resolutions really start to roll in and hit us very quickly. So we'll quickly kind of go over this demo with you guys. And I know that recipe, I think, is either gone out or will go out to you. And then we will jump into that segment about goal setting. So I'll let Leah start off, and then I will hop back in a second and work on the dressing. So I'm gonna let her get started with the salad.
Yeah, so we definitely wanted to include something healthy and fresh for the new year. I know a lot of people think of salads as more of a summer thing, but I feel like this salad definitely embodies a lot of winter elements and ways to utilize produce that are in season around this time of year. So I'm really excited to put it together with you guys. We did go ahead and pre-chop some of the ingredients just for the sake of time, but I will say, just for perspective, this all did come together pretty quickly. So even if you are in a time crunch, it is something I feel like you can whip up fairly quickly. So I'm just going to start with the mixed greens. I know it's good to provide substitutions because everyone has different preferences. So this salad can complement different flavors very well. If you'd rather use a different green, that's totally fine. So first step is just to add it to the bowl. Okay, and so there's a few ingredients we went ahead and pre-chopped. First, I'm going to add the apples, and these are in season this time of year. It's a great way to get in some extra fiber and also some good vitamins, including antioxidants, which are also perfect for this time of year with all the different illnesses going around. It's a good way to get a vitamin C boost. All right. And then we're going to add about 2 avocados. The way we chopped these, we just cut them in half and kind of pre-sliced them. We didn't take them out of the shell or anything. So you can just squeeze it in like that, and it's a little bit easier. And this is a good way to get in some omega-3s, which is great to help with inflammation. And it's a very healthy fat. So it helps make this meal a little more balanced. And then the last thing for now that we're going to add is the feta cheese. The recipe did say you could choose, a few different cheeses per your preference. I just like the way feta tastes, and it is one of the lower fat cheeses. So if that's something that's in one of your diet goals, that's something to keep in mind as well. And just to show you guys what it's looking like so far.
Colorful.
It's looking yummy. We still have a few things to add.
All right, yeah, I can do this pomegranate. So pomegranate is another great source of fiber and vitamin C, as Leah was saying. It's also in season. You can always buy them pre-shelled, I guess you could call it. But it's much cheaper and it's actually pretty quick to do it yourself. And a mess-free way to do this is I just cut it into fourths here, and I'm using this bowl of water just to submerge the actual pomegranate in and de-seeding it that way. Now I'll just put these into the salad like so. If you've ever tried doing this without using the water trick, it is pretty messy. It will stain your cutting boards and the clothes that you're wearing if the juice does happen to get everywhere. So this is just like a little hack I like to use. And pomegranate, not only is it beautiful in color, but again, it adds a lot of fiber, vitamin C, magnesium to your dish. And I know some of you might be chuckling to yourself, like, of course, the dietitians are demoing a salad, but still can enjoy all of your favorite holiday foods, but a great addition to add in addition to the things that we traditionally enjoy in a Christmas meal or holiday meal as a nice side. Or when we think about salads as an entree, if you wanted to do this for a lunch or if you're having guests over for the holidays or even for really just any occasion, we always want to think about adding protein and fat to our salads as well. I think that's one of the main reasons we don't feel very full when we're trying to get in our greens, is that we are not adding enough sustenance. So adding a protein like chicken, fish, shrimp, cheese would be the example here. And we also have a nut mix that we're going to add to this as well that would add a lot of protein and healthy fats.
I like that it's red and green.
And it's festive, of course. It takes hardly any time. Like Leah said, it took us maybe 10 minutes to get all this chopped, washed, prepared. And it looks like you spent a lot more time on it, which I always love, is throwing together something fast and it looks like you spent like a Martha Stewart amount of effort. So that's the goal here, right? Okay. Just gonna do a few more pomegranates in here. Let's see. Do you have any issues with dairy? You could always go cheese-free in this dish too and add in a different protein. I think grilled chicken or even like a rotisserie chicken would go great in this. And then also getting those healthy fats again from avocado. The dressing does have some olive oil in it, so that'll give us a healthy fat. Okay.
So we do have some questions. If I
Yeah.
could slow it down a little. Monica asked, any particular types of apples work well in the salad? Do you have any specific kinds?
Yeah, for sure. I don't think the recipe specified, but I just used Honeycrisp. So I think it really is just your preference. I know if you like a little bit more of a sour taste, try the Granny apples, but or Granny Smith apples. So I think it's really just your preference because they are in season this time of year. So just whatever you prefer. And then the recipe did say you could use pears as well. So if you want to add that instead, that's a good alternative.
Okay, I have one more question. I noticed that you peeled the apples. Is that necessary?
So we actually didn't peel the apple. It may have just looked that way because we chopped them up into tiny pieces. But we did keep that apple, the peel on. And that's a great point because keeping the peel adds that extra fiber and extra vitamins. So again, it's still a good thing to add in for extra vitamins, even if you do peel it, but having the peel does add that extra fiber.
Questions?
And then the last thing we need to add to top it all off is the nut mix we did. We baked it in the oven prior to coming on. And I will say we used pecans instead of walnuts, but either one works. We're just going to show you what it looks like real quick.
Very good. It's got honey on it, which we can use as a natural sweetener. You can also use maple syrup. That'd be another alternative. But honey is a prebiotic, meaning that it does have a certain sugar in there that helps feed the healthy bacteria in our gut. Honey is still considered a sugar or a carbohydrate, but it is a little bit better an alternative than just using cane sugar, because it does have that prebiotic component to it. Also, again, during sick season, it can help with sore throat and those kind of symptoms as well. It kind of has an antibacterial property to it. So I'm just using these. They almost turn out like a peanut brittle when the honey melts on there. And you just throw them in the oven for 15 minutes and it makes a nice little crunch to add to your salad.
I bet that made the house smell so good too.
It does. It smells amazing. And I will say that pecans and pumpkin seeds both have, they're both a good source of protein and some healthy fats. So if you've noticed, we've mentioned that throughout the recipe. Even though it is a salad, we've been able to incorporate good fiber, healthy fats, a little bit of protein, vitamins and minerals. So we've packed a lot of good nutrients in this.
All right, so for the dressing, and that's usually where we run into issues with salads again, right, is the dressing. What do we use? Is there one that's better than the other? What's a low fat option? I would say if you don't have the time or energy to make your own dressings, anything that's a vinaigrette based is going to be your lower calorie option. Anything that's, of course, cream based will have more calories and be a little bit more dense. Not to say that you can't use those, but if you are trying to keep calorie deficit in mind, the vinegar based dressings will be a better option for that. So to make our own, we're going to use a handy little mason jar and just pour all the ingredients in here, shake it up and pour it directly on top. If you were going to prepare this ahead, I would say keep the dressing separate if you're going to bring it to lunch or bring it to a friend or family's house to complement the meal. So we have zested orange we're going to add. I use just a little handheld zester. And it also makes the house smell amazing. Again, Martha Stewart level, you guys, I'm telling you. And then we've got extra virgin olive oil to use as our base here. I'm going to do about 1/3 of a cup. That's also the beauty about the mason jar is that it has measurements on the side for you. So I have to guess. And then the juice from about 1/2 of an orange. Two teaspoons of Dijon mustard. Ooh. Got a little messy. Thank you. And then also call for a tablespoon of fig preserves. I'm just using this fig spread that I had on hand. If you don't like figs, you can definitely leave it out. I think it just helps give it a little bit of that seasonal flavor. But you could definitely sweeten it with a little bit more honey or even the maple syrup for a little bit of a natural sweetener. Oh, wrong word. And again, something else you could leave out, it did call for red pepper flakes. So if you do want a little kick, definitely an option, but if spicy, especially if you went through any sort of therapy that affects your sensitivity to spice, I would definitely leave that out, and you could use a different seasoning like salt. Apple cider vinegar is a great addition to dressing to give it that acid component. Usually dressings will have some sort of sweet component and an acid component to kind of complement each other. So in this case, it's apple cider vinegar and honey. And I'm just going to measure the honey with my heart here because nobody likes to measure sticky honey. All right. Give it a good shake. And also to mention, if you do have taste changes that are lingering from treatment, anything that has like a citrus flavor or tart flavor will help break through some of that bland taste if things taste off or just don't taste like they used to. Sometimes pairing a salad dressing with a lot of zest. We're going to talk about a refresher drink here in a second that will also be good for that and to kind of help combat that bland taste. I'm just going to drizzle our dressing on top. And we've got a beautiful, effortless, nutritious salad.
It definitely looks like Christmas.
All right. So I will also grab these refreshers to talk about really quick. Alrighty. So during the holidays, when alcohol is around, I always like to talk about this really any time of the year, especially when we're talking about hydration after going through treatment or being in treatment now, even if you haven't ever been through treatment. Hydration is super, super important. So it doesn't have to just be bland water that's unflavored to count towards your hydration goal. So really anything that's clear, not caffeinated, can count towards your hydration goal. So I wanted to demo something that is what we would call a mocktail or a refresher, something that is a little bit more holiday flair, but also hydrating. So if you do choose to drink, the recommendation from the AICR is 1 drink a day for women or less, or 2 for men or less. Our rule of thumb is if you don't drink, don't start. But if you do choose to have an alcoholic beverage, this would be a great thing to kind of switch to or make for your family. In a pitcher, you can make it very festive, as I will show you. And yeah, it's just a great alternative. So in my pitcher here, I just put frozen cranberries. I'm getting actually used for the ice. You could even put some sort of juice or cranberry juice or even water with cranberries in it into an ice tray and use that. So as it melts, it looks festive and it doesn't water down your refresher. Then I'm just going to use the juice from half an orange. Again, to give it vitamin C, also to help cut through some of those taste changes if that is something that you're struggling with. Then I'm going to use my little handy citrus squeezer and use the juice of a lime. More vitamin C. It's 6 season, you guys. My daughter just got over a cold, so I'm going to be drinking this in hopes to ward off any illness. And then also for our base, this isn't required by any means, but a soda alternative. This is Poppy. I don't know if you guys have seen commercials or seen this on the shelves in the grocery store, but it's a prebiotic soda, and it only has 2 grams of added sugar. So you could use even a low sugar ginger ale, a Sprite, something if you do have a little bit of nausea, ginger based. This is the one that I picked because it is a cranberry fizz holiday flavor, and it's low in sugar and it's also got prebiotics as well. And it does add a little bit of carbonation, so sometimes that does help soothe your stomach as well if you're having any kind of nausea with treatment. And then I'm gonna also top it off with a little bit of sparkling water. I like carbonation, if you can't tell, but if you don't, you could also just use flat water in this too. Then to top it off, I'm gonna put it in my little holiday glass here. And I'm going to garnish it with mint, another great herb to use. Again, great for nausea. It's great for bloating, any kind of GI issues. Peppermint is a great addition to add into drinks, to recipes, teas. And we've got our beautiful, again, effortless holiday refresher here with our little cranberries and mint garnish.
I love it.
Thank you.
We also had someone in the chat that said I wanted to share mine. I did ginger, cranberries, lime. This is my favorite holiday drink, and she shared a picture of it too. So just make sure you look at the chat for that one. But both of you used green and red, so it looks so festive.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so we're going to transition over to talking about goal setting. Are there any immediate questions about recipes or foods we used in the meantime? And I'll get this set up on setting the tone for a healthy new year. We always like to start our talks off with the AICR guidelines, which stands for the American Institute of Cancer Research, because we do want to be using evidence-based facts to be setting our goals. I know, especially this time of year, really in January, people share things with good intentions, either on social media or talking with friends and family about goals. Sometimes it even is oncology-based or cancer-based. I ate this and I feel like it helped me feel better or helped with my treatment. So I always like to drive it back home to what we know through evidence. So really quickly going through these guidelines is something maybe you guys could think about whenever we're driving our goals and making our own goals. Is number one, be a healthy weight. If you're unsure of what that would be for you, BMI wise, you can always ask your doctor or your clinic. Number two, eat a diet rich in whole grains, vegetables, fruits, and beans. Number three, limit consumption of red and processed meat. Processed meat would be things like hot dogs, bacon, all of those foods that have been through heavily processed, that are heavily processed. So really anything you would see on a charcuterie board, prosciutto, things of that nature. And that doesn't say don't ever touch it ever again. It just says limit. So if that is something that you're eating the majority of the time, we would ask that you replace that with a leaner cut of meat. But again, during the holidays, I understand that those things are around. And number four, be physically active. Number five, limit consumption of sugar sweetened drinks, which we talked about a little bit, trying to go for those lower sugar options. Number six, limiting alcohol consumption, which we also talked about with a refresher. 1 drink or less a day for women, 2 or less for men. Do not use supplements for cancer prevention. And number 8, limit consumption of fast and processed foods. So again, things are all often well-intended, but we are going to see a lot of posts, suggestions, advice from family members, friends, especially on social media. So I always like to start talks like this off by saying, beware, new year, new me posts are coming. And I don't want you to buy into the idea that you have to have a new you to have a healthy new year. We don't have to change who we are or change our base values to be a healthy you. We can make small changes, tackle them one at a time. And by the end of the year, I guarantee you, you will see more change than you would have going into it with a big force or a big drastic change. So instead of new year, new me, I always like to say new year, new mindset. And really quickly, there were some stats pulled back in 2016 about New Year's resolutions. We know less than half of Americans end up making resolutions, about 41%, and only 9% admit that they will stick to their goal for the full year. At 1 month, it's about 80%, so we do pretty good the whole month of January, and then after that, it kind of starts to trickle down. Statistics in 2024 showed that 79% of resolutions are health-based, so either about weight or well-being, mentally or physically in general. So why are only 9% of Americans able to stick with these? Usually it's because of crash dieting. It's not sustainable. The goals are too general or they're too lofty, which I know that we've all done, including myself. So crash dieting, I wanted to put some words to look out for because diets in disguise, as I like to call them, can seem like they're well-intended, but can be disguised as a crash diet. So words to look out for is if someone's encouraging you to eliminate a food altogether or a food group, if the word cleanse or detox is used, or if someone is promising quick results, that usually means it's too good to be true. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So instead of using these other goals, I would say be SMART. So SMART is an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. So let's walk through these. So using the old goal, I want to eat healthier this next year, which is very broad, very great goal, but very broad. I would say break it down into our SMART example. So to be a little bit more specific than just healthy, I would say I want to eat more plants in 2025 because we know that's one of our AICR guidelines, right? To make it measurable, I would say I'll incorporate 1 vegetable into my dinners. To make this doable, I've got a baby, I'm working full time, so I would say I probably won't be able to do this every single day. I'm not perfect. I would say I'll start doing this Monday through Thursday to start with. And then why is this relevant? Again, more plants, that aligns with those AICR guidelines that we talk about. And then timeline, we want to be able to look back and say, did I attain this goal? How long do I want to do this for? Let's start off by doing it the whole month of January, see how well it went. If it was nearly impossible, I would say pull back. Maybe 1 vegetable 3 times a week, or instead of a vegetable, doing a fruit. Or even saying, I'm just going to do a frozen vegetable and throw it in the oven alongside whatever I'm making twice a week. Try to set a time limit on it. And if it was really easy, then I would say that next month in February, say, hey, I'm going to increase it to 2, or I'm going to incorporate a walk before dinner. And that's when we can start building on these smaller goals. And I'm going to pass it to Leah to talk about sleep.
Yeah, so we definitely wanted to include some other healthy habits to focus on outside of nutrition, because we know that sleep, exercise, stress management are very important in your overall well-being. So trying to recognize those things in those areas and make goals in this area is really important too. So just to touch on a little bit of facts about sleep, it is very important to help strengthen your immune system. Studies have shown it also helps maintain or even lose weight. And the science behind that is people that are getting very little sleep, it can increase your hunger hormones, which is known as ghrelin, if you've ever heard that before. So making sure you're getting enough sleep every night is very important and can also help reduce risk of chronic disease. So ways to practice good sleep hygiene, just for some tips and tricks, try to be as consistent as possible. Our bodies kind of get in a routine. So if you can kind of, set a time limit, okay, I'm going to wind down for the night, this time every single night. Try to sleep in a dark, cool room, avoid using electronics right before bed. If you can do other things like journaling or reading instead, that can kind of get your mind shut down a little bit. Okay, and then moving into exercise and daily movement, as Morgan already kind of touched on, the benefits of exercise go way beyond just helping stay in shape or lose weight. Research has also shown that it can help reduce feelings of anxiety and stress, can help increase energy levels. It's great for building bone density and also reducing risk of chronic disease. And also tying in with sleep, it can also help relaxation and have better sleep quality as well. The AICR guidelines are to try to get 150 minutes of physical activity every week. So that can be split up 30 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be all at once. It can be 3 10-minute segments of working out. Just kind of know where you are, and kind of like Morgan said earlier, don't set too big of a goal that you're not going to be able to stick with. So even though the goal is 150 minutes of physical activity every week, say right now you're not exercising at all, say, okay, next week I'm just going to try working out 1 or 2 days a week, or I'm going to go walking with a friend a couple days this week. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. So it's what you're doing majority of the time, and consistency, again, is what makes a big difference. And sorry, I did want to include some examples of SMART goals with the physical activity, kind of just to remind you, instead of saying, okay, this year I'm going to work out more, I'm going to exercise more. Say things like, I'm going to start going to a yoga class once a week, or go walking with someone in the evenings. Even just having somebody to go with you, someone to hold accountability, can help with that as well. And then moving into stress management, also very important, as that can, affect you way more than you realize. Try things like practicing deep breathing exercises, time management. If you're one of those people where it's the end of the day and you're like, I've only checked one thing off my list, I don't know where the day went. Something that might be a good SMART goal for you is, I'm going to try to time block my day and write out everything I need to do in the time frame I want to get that done. Also, trying yoga or meditation, those exercises can help with stress management as well. Connecting with others, just having a friend or family member, someone you trust to talk to about your feelings, kind of help process everything. Doing things you enjoy. It doesn't just have to be like, okay, I'm going to the gym. Go do things with friends, or even just moving around your house, doing your cleaning, that can still count. So including healthy changes with diet, physical activity, and sleep, all those things together can help with stress management. And then just trying to make your goals stick a little better. Like Morgan mentioned at the beginning, most people don't stick with their New Year's resolution. So just some tips to kind of help that go a little bit better is tracking your progress. If you're one of those people that likes journaling and writing out like what you've accomplished, that way you can visualize what you've done that year. If you're someone that does better with rewarding yourself, even if it's just something small, like I'm going to drink this amount of water every day and buy myself a new water bottle if I meet this goal for 2 weeks. Some people work better if they have something to look forward to like that. And then, like I said earlier, accountability partner, just having someone to go with you can make it a little bit more motivating. And try to check in with yourself periodically and see how the goals are going. If you feel like you're having a hard time achieving it and it's just not working out, rather than feeling discouraged or beating yourself up over it, try to modify the goal and see how it's something that can be more attainable, and something you can accomplish. And then after that, move on to something else. So celebrate the small wins. As long as you're putting it out there and doing things to better yourself, that's what matters. And then we did include this SMART goal worksheet. If Morgan wanted to touch more on that.
Yeah, so this is going to be kind of where we open it up to you guys. If you either want to type in the chat or come off mute, if you're feeling brave and want to come discuss with us. I wanted to just use that really generic goal of I want to be healthier in 2025 and kind of talk through how we could build our own SMART goal from that. So again, either in the chat, chatting offline or off mute, either way, but taking that goal of I want to be healthier and how can we make that a little bit more specific to start out. Open up the chat here and see. And this doesn't even have to be, I want to be healthier. It could be, okay, love this one, eating more protein. So tracking, eating more protein. You guys can type in the chat, even other goals that you want to include or different, bounce ideas off of what Leah and I have. But tracking, you could either use portions. We could track by using days of the week. I'm going to try to increase by 10 grams a day if you are using like an app or a dietitian or doctor to kind of help you figure out what your protein goals would be. So just to hone in a little bit better, being able to track and be able to see. I think eating protein also helps align with those AICR guidelines. Also eating more plants, that realm, but also getting in good protein will also help with weight management, which that number one bullet point we saw was be a healthy weight. Any other goals we have or that we've done in the past even that either were attainable or maybe were a little too lofty, and see how we could break those down too. And I can even use this time to take questions that you guys have while we're here and all thinking.
And we can give everyone a minute to kind of think through, see if we can get more goals to walk through. I know one that I've had in the past was journaling, trying to journal every day, but that was not happen every day.
That's a good one. And anytime I make a goal for daily, I feel like I'll end up just giving up altogether because it's too difficult to juggle. So that brings up a good point to start off with, maybe once a week, twice a week, and then each month trying to build up and see if it's attainable that way. I see one, eating a rainbow of vegetables daily. That's a great one. We know that eating the rainbow offers different micronutrients in the diet. So that would be your vitamins and minerals. You get a completely different nutrient profile from, let's say, a red pepper than you would a string bean. So adding in that variety of color is a really, really good way to make sure that we're getting an adequate profile of nutrition. Except cauliflower. Cauliflower, yes. Managing stress, sleep, turning your mind off, hormones with perimenopause. Yeah, those are all really popular ones I hear about, especially in my breast population. Managing stress is a great one, even if that was kind of like your broad goal. maybe saying I'm going to put my phone down for 30 minutes before bed to help with my stress levels and also my sleep hygiene. So you could even kind of build upon 2 or 3 of those goals and kind of work on them little chunks at a time. I love that one as well. Anything else coming to mind? Oh, here we go. I will track my progress by journaling what I eat daily. I will achieve my goal by combining 2 APPs, Bite Snap to take picture of my meal and Fitness Pal to track, and meals and fitness goal of weight. This helps me because I need protein to heal and have energy, and I will track my goal for 3 months. I love it. 3 months is a perfect place to start as well. It's short enough to where if it's not working, we can change it up, and we've still got the rest of the year to modify as needed. Some people really do love using apps. I know a lot of my patients do to help track because it does pull data for you. So even if we think that we're not doing very well, sometimes that data feedback can show us like, hey, you actually did increase your protein or fiber or water intake by this much. If tracking is too stressful or is discouraging, you definitely don't have to do so. But I know there's a lot of apps and websites out there that will help with that. Walking your dog 15 minutes per day, 3 days a week. Love that. Anything that is above the physical activity that you're doing currently is what we want to aim for. So the goal is about 150 minutes per week, but if you're only walking 15 minutes once, every couple of days or once a week, anything that you're doing an increase from your baseline is a yes from us. So you don't have to go from 0 to 150 minutes per week right off the bat. Is chicken a good protein? Are they loaded with hormones? Chicken is a great source of protein. An average size chicken breast is about 40 grams, which is probably about half the protein an adult would require for the day, just kind of depending on your weight and treatment. And overall body composition, I would say most of the proteins that we consume now are hormone-free alongside our dairy products, so you don't have to worry about it in that aspect. But yes, it is a great lean protein option. It's not considered a red meat or processed meat. Oh, here's another one. I will track my progress by journaling what I eat daily. Oh, that's the one I saw. Yes, Apple Watch is great with goals if that's something that you guys have. It can help with standing, as you mentioned, physical activity, all of that good stuff. It gives you little reminders if that's something that you're into.
Yeah, we also had a question earlier in your presentation that was asking about supplements. They were just asking if there are any cancer supplements. I know we've had this conversation, you and I have had this conversation before, but I think it's just a good one to share again.
Sure. So in the AICR guidelines that we talked about in the first slide, it said to not use supplements as for cancer prevention. If you do have a nutrient deficiency that you're aware of or that your doctor is concerned about, definitely use supplements as directed by your doctor. So for example, sometimes with breast treatment, we'll talk about vitamin D supplementation or calcium. So definitely utilize those as needed. What we don't want to do is use supplements in hopes that it will prevent a cancer or even to replace foods. So the supplement industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it's not regulated by the FDA. So the potency and the efficacy of these supplements aren't really regulated by any company. A lot of them do have third-party testing, which you can look on the back of the label if you do require a supplement. There will be little symbols on there to show you that there's been third-party testing about the potency. But there's just not much data proving that supplements will provide more or more beneficial or better absorbed nutrition than foods would. It can actually have the opposite effect. If we're getting too much of any one nutrient, it can do more harm than good, especially if you're undergoing anything like a radiation, some chemotherapies. It can interact with certain supplements if used in too big of a quantity. So that's kind of my very quick answer. Usually a multivitamin is fine if you clear that with your doctor. If you feel like your appetite hasn't been great and you need a little something if you're not eating your normal amount. Definitely discuss that with your doctor. But that is kind of the general recommendation, that we don't want to be using them in place of foods.
And then we'll start to close it up. So is there any last minute words, Morgan, Leah, anything like that?
Well, thank you guys so much. And I wanted to echo what Leah was saying, that any step towards improving your health is an amazing step. It can be tiny, it can be loftier than last year's goal and testing it out, but anything, even joining these presentations, is a step in a positive direction towards your well-being and your health. So I really appreciate and admire you guys joining tonight. I know it's holiday season and busy, and the foundation puts on amazing talks. So I'm glad that you all got to join. And we'll be here for another couple of minutes if you guys have any questions or concerns, tips, anything that you guys want to share with each other too.
Yeah, I always love going through everyone's goals, because then it's like, oh yeah, that's a good goal. I should make that.
Yeah. You're making me want to journal now.
All right. Okay, so it looks like this would be a good time to wrap up. I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for coming to our 12 digital dives, our 12 Tuesdays of digital dives. It was a lot of fun. We have gone through a lot of different topics, and I'm very thankful for that. A lot of nutrition topics, which is good, because we will see a lot of those New Year, New Me posts. We do have an upcoming event called Virtual Experience. It'll be on January 9th as the kickoff, and it will go all the way through the end of January. I'm going to go ahead and put the registration link in there now as we start to close it off. If you enjoyed these education sessions, the virtual experience will have Monday education sessions, support groups, and workshops throughout those 3 weeks for you guys about the same time, about 6 o'clock, so that you're able to kind of stay on that pattern of 6 o'clock education sessions. I also just wanted to say thank you guys so much for coming to all the 12 Tuesdays, and that the session was recorded and will be sent to all registrants first in our follow-up emails. You'll get all 12 of these videos so that you can kind of go back on them, share with people. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, because these will be available to the public in the beginning of the year. We also ask that you join, like our Facebook page, stay current with our Instagram, all that fun stuff. And then our upcoming events, if you guys are interested, are also online as well. We have a caregiver survival program coming up. If you're a caregiver, or you want your caregiver to have a little bit more education, this is a great one. We meet every Friday at 10 a.m. And we just do a little bit of education, and then we talk about it for about 20 minutes afterwards. So I do see a question, is January digital dive every day, week, or we will be doing a digital dive. We're going to be switching it up a little bit to being monthly rather than 12 Tuesdays. We will probably do the 12 Tuesdays again next year, but we're going to switch it up and do it monthly rather than every Tuesday. So it will have a different cadence. So thank you for asking that. So thank you guys so much for coming today. We will see you guys in the new year. Happy holidays. I hope you guys enjoy your time with family, or enjoy your time alone, however you like to spend your holidays. And I will see you guys next year.